The morning sun filtered through the bathroom window, casting a warm glow over the tiled floor. Jake stood just outside the door, his hand poised to knock. He had been feeling a little off lately. Something in the air felt different, like a storm brewing just beyond the horizon. He brushed it off as paranoia, but the nagging sensation wouldn't leave him. "Babe! You okay in there?" he called, trying to keep his voice light. When no answer came, unease twisted in his gut. He leaned closer, the faint sound of laughter wafting through the door. "Ha! No way," a deep voice echoed, followed by a giggle that was unmistakably his wife, Sarah's. Jake's heart thudded painfully in his chest. "Sarah," he called again, this time louder. "You sure you're okay?" "Just a minute," she shouted, but the giggling continued, mingling with a low, throaty murmur that sent a chill down his spine. Jake's hand trembled as he grasped the doorknob. He hesitated, glancing down the hallway as if searching for some sign that this was all a mistake. But the laughter was too intimate, too familiar. He turned the knob and pushed the door open. The sight before him shattered his world into a million jagged pieces. "Jake!" Sarah gasped, her eyes wide with shock. There in the bathtub, water splashing over the edges, were Sarah and his stepbrother, Mark. Their skin glistened, bodies entwined, laughter dying on their lips as they froze in horror. "Get out! Get out!" Jake's voice cracked, fury and betrayal flooding through him like molten lava. "Jake," Sarah began, scrambling to cover herself with a towel. "Shut up!" He stormed forward, fists clenched. "What the hell is this?" "Wait, man, let's talk!" Mark shouted, but Jake could barely hear him over the roaring in his ears. "Talk? You think I want to talk?" Jake's voice rose, filled with fury. "You think this is some kind of joke? I didn't mean for it to happen." Sarah's voice quivered, guilt etched on her face. "Please, just let me explain." "Explain? What's there to explain? You're in our home, in our bathroom, with my brother." "My brother!" He spat the words like venom. Mark raised his hands defensively. "Jake, it was a mistake. We were just what? Having fun? Is that what you call this?" Jake stepped closer, the heat of anger radiating off him. "You both think this is a game?" "Jake, please!" Sarah cried, tears glistening in her eyes. "I love you. It just happened. I didn't plan this." He could feel his heart breaking, each pulse resonating with the betrayal. "Love? You call this love?" He gestured wildly. "You're both naked in my home, and you think that's love? Let's just breathe, okay?" Mark tried to intervene, but Jake's vision narrowed, focusing on the betrayal in front of him. "No. You don't get to act like you're the victim here." Jake's voice was a low growl. "You both think you can just waltz around like this and I'll be okay with it?" "Jake, we're sorry," Sarah pleaded, her voice trembling. "We didn't mean for it to go this far." "Too late for apologies." Jake snapped, his hands shaking with rage. "You think I'm just going to let this slide? What do you want?" Mark shot back, anger flaring in his eyes. "You can't just barge in here and watch me." Jake's voice was ice. He turned on his heel, storming out of the bathroom, his heart pounding with betrayal. "Jake, wait!" Sarah called after him, but he didn't stop. He marched down the hallway, the weight of their betrayal heavy on his shoulders. Once in the living room, he paced back and forth, his mind racing. He felt humiliated, furious, and utterly lost. The laughter that had once filled their home was now replaced by the echoes of betrayal. "Think, Jake. You can't let them get away with this," he muttered to himself. But how? Revenge flickered in his mind, dark and enticing. He could confront them again, but that wouldn't be enough. He wanted them to feel the weight of what they had done, to regret the moment they crossed the line. Just then, he heard footsteps approaching. Mark emerged from the bathroom, still dripping wet, a towel clutched around his waist. "Jake, we need to talk," he said, his expression serious. "Talk? You think I want to talk to you?" Jake shot back, his fists clenched. "You think I want to hear your excuses?" "Just listen to me," Mark urged, stepping closer. "I made a mistake, but it doesn't have to end like this." "It already has ended." Jake snapped, the anger boiling over. "You've destroyed everything. Please. You're my brother. We can figure this out." Mark's eyes were pleading. "Figure what out? How to betray me again?" Jake's voice dripped with sarcasm. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Mark insisted, frustration lacing his tone. "It was a moment. We were both caught up in it." "Caught up in what?" "Your lust?" Jake shook his head, disbelief washing over him. "You think I'm going to let this go? Maybe we can work through it." "You're stronger than this," Mark continued, a hint of desperation creeping into his voice. "Let's not ruin everything. Everything is already ruined." Jake shouted, the pain of betrayal coiling in his chest. Mark took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "What if we talk to Sarah together? She can explain everything." "Explain?" Jake echoed, the word bitter on his tongue. "What's there to explain? You wanted each other, and you took what was mine. Just think about it, Jake. You love her, right?" Mark pressed, his voice dropping to a more earnest tone. "Don't throw it all away." Jake's heart raced, torn between the love he felt for Sarah and the anger that consumed him. He wanted to scream, to lash out, to make them feel everything he was feeling. But deep down, there was a flicker of hope that perhaps they could salvage something from the wreckage. "Fine," Jake finally said, his voice low. "I'll hear her out. But don't think for a second that I'll forgive either of you easily." Mark nodded, relief washing over his face. "Thank you, man. Just give her a chance." "Whatever." Jake turned on his heel, heading back towards the bathroom. He could hear the sound of water still trickling from the tub, the reality of the situation sitting heavily in the air. When he entered the bathroom, Sarah was wrapped in a towel, her eyes red from unshed tears. "Jake, I'm so sorry," she said, her voice shaky. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Then why did you?" Jake shot back, crossing his arms. "Why him?" "It just happened, I swear," she pleaded, stepping closer. "Mark and I were talking, and it got out of hand. I didn't mean for it to turn into this. Did you even think about me?" Jake's voice was almost a whisper, filled with hurt. "I did." Sarah insisted, desperation in her eyes. "But I was confused. I love you, Jake. I've always loved you." "Love isn't supposed to look like this," Jake said, pain lacing his words. "You can't love someone and betray them like this." "I know," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I messed up. But I'll do anything to fix this. Please, just give me a chance." Jake felt torn, the weight of her words pulling at his heart. "What about Mark? What does he have to do with this?" "He was a mistake, Jake. A huge mistake. I shouldn't have let it happen," she said, her voice breaking. "But I want to make this right with you. I want us back." Jake's heart raced, the conflict inside him raging. He wanted to believe her, to reach out and pull her into his arms. But the pain of betrayal was still fresh, the memory of their laughter echoing in his mind. "Do you love him?" he asked, his voice tight. "No. I don't love him," she cried. "I love you. I made a mistake, and I'm so sorry. Please, just let me show you." Jake felt the anger inside him simmering down, replaced by uncertainty. "What do you want me to say, Sarah? That it's all okay? That I can just forget?" "No. I just want you to know that I'll fight for us. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right," she said, determination shining through her tears. Fine, Jake said, his voice steady. But it won't be easy. You and Mark need to face the consequences of what you did. Mark, who had been standing silently in the doorway, nodded slowly. I'll take responsibility, Jake. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, and I'll do whatever it takes to fix it. Jake's gaze hardened. You think I'm going to let you off that easily? You both crossed a line, and I won't just sit back and let it go. Then what do you want? Sarah asked, her voice trembling. I want you to feel what it's like to lose everything you love, Jake replied, the weight of his words hanging in the air. And I want you to understand how deep this betrayal runs. We can work through it, I promise, Sarah said softly, her eyes pleading. No. You're going to feel the consequences. You both are. Jake turned away, his heart heavy. And I'll do whatever it takes to make sure you understand the pain you've caused. With that, he walked out of the bathroom, leaving Sarah and Mark behind. Jake could feel the heat of anger coursing through him, but there was also a glimmer of hope that they could somehow find a way back to each other. But first, they needed to understand the depth of their actions. Outside, the sun continued to rise, the light spilling into the room, illuminating the shattered pieces of trust that lay between them. Jake took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He would make them see, but he wouldn't let his heart be broken again. The stakes were high, and the battle had only just begun.